All right. Chairman Westerman, you're speaking our language. NEPA is broken. It needs to be fixed. And in the mining industry, I can tell you what he said about mining and smelters is true. I asked a smelter owner one time why they're not building new smelters in the United States, and they said it'd take them 30 years to get through the permitting process, and they're just not willing to do it. This is an issue for our country. We have 2 copper smelters in the US. We have 0 lead smelters in the US now. So this is a major problem that we need to fix. So losing my voice was not a pivot that I was expecting today, especially when I was introducing one of my favorite people, Governor Gianforte. So I just want to add that we all really appreciate the governor in our state, especially you recognize him everywhere, and that's because every year he makes it his mission and goal to visit all 56 counties in our state, and we really appreciate you and all you do. I think he must stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning every night with all of the ideas and changes he's making in our state. So thank you very much, Governor. Luckily, losing my voice did not last as long as the government shut down. So we are ready to move on. Data reported by Entrepreneur Media ranks Montana #1 with the highest score for the total number of startups in the state, the #1 for the number of startups per 100,000 people, and the 10-year survival rate for the startups. Contributing factors to these numbers are attributed to ongoing efforts by Governor Gianforte and the Montana Chamber, which are creating a more favorable business climate here. The Montana Department of Commerce, under the leadership of Director Marta Bertoglio, works to recruit businesses in Montana, retain and assist with growth of the current businesses, and help startup entrepreneurs. Joining us today to discuss doing business under the big sky are Director Bertoglio, Chris Bakken, CEO of Avante Helium, Aaron Smith, President and CEO of Echelon Scientific, and Gary Evans, CEO of U.S. Antimony Corporation. Please welcome our panelists.
Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome. It's a pleasure to be with you here today to discuss something that truly defines the spirit of our state, Montana's strong and growing business climate. Under Governor Gianforte's leadership, Montana has taken meaningful steps to make our state one of the most business-friendly states in the nation. The governor has lowered the state's income tax and increased the business equipment tax exemption to $1 million, allowing Montana businesses to keep more of their hard-earned money to invest back into their operations, their employees, and their communities. As the governor often says, Montana is open for business, and we're with the government, and we're here to stay out of your way. Those aren't just slogans. They reflect a clear and consistent approach to fostering growth, innovation, and opportunity across our state. Today, we have an outstanding panel of business leaders who will share their insights and experience on what makes Montana such a great place to do business and how we can continue building on that momentum. I look forward to the discussion, and let's get started. So the first question is for Chris Baker with Avante Helium. What factors led Avante Helium to develop its Sweetgrass facility in Montana, and how have the state's posture towards energy development and infrastructure supported your helium extraction and commercialization efforts?
Good, thank you. We're a Calgary-based company. That's where our head office is. And in our exploration of helium, we looked across Canada and we built the model there. And the more we looked at Canada, the more we liked Montana for geologic reasons. So we ended up buying, land across 2 provinces and into Montana. When it came time to permitting, this is where Montana really shone, it took me nearly 2 years to get a permit in Alberta, and it took me 8 days to get my first permit in Montana. So you can imagine where the capital went. We started drilling down here. Had tremendous success. We went 3 for 3 in our drilling program, and this is where our capital is going to be spent going forward. We've basically let our other properties go, and we're very, very positive on the outlook for Montana.
Thank you. The next question is for Aaron Smith of Echelon Scientific. As a semiconductor manufacturer in Bozeman, what advantages has Montana offered in terms of talent, research, partnerships, or operational costs that have helped Echelon Scientific grow in a highly competitive industry?
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the question. So the Montana trip for Echelon started about 2 years ago when we had to do an expansion. And being a Silicon Valley company, it was not feasible or wise to build anything out in California. So we started looking around, and the original knee-jerk was to go to Arizona or go to Texas. But at one of these conferences, I met some people from the governor's office and from Commerce, and they, we had a side session. They said, "Well, think about Montana." Well, I said, "Okay, I love Bozeman. It's a fantastic place to visit." But they said, "Come on up, and you might be surprised at what kind of business is going on, even in your space." So that's what happened. We decided that we were not going to deploy capital in San Jose, so we decided to build out up here. And we've been here for 4 months, and we're already delivering product from our factory. And so that really speaks to what it would take a year to get a license to even have nitrogen or argon or inert gas. It's not, like you're trying to put arzine or silane in the building. You don't need all these permits, and to do that in the Bay Area, it's a year and thousands of dollars. Here, it's 3 days. And it was like, you know what, Montana is open for business, and it's very easy. What they said was, and ostensibly you say, well, yeah, maybe that's just advertising. But the reality is it's not. I mean, you get here, and very, very quickly you understand that all of these pieces work together, and it's only usually one phone call away, and you're talking to the right guy. So we've also partnered with MSU. So we just donated a bunch of equipment to their NanoFab facility, and we're hoping to be able to peel their engineers out as they come out. So we're pretty happy with the decision. And the other thing that people talk about is workforce retention. So it's not like Santa Clara, where a guy walks across the street and says, "Okay, well, I can get 10% more," and then the next day he goes across the street to the other place and says, "We got 10%," just because of the concentration. So here, I hear people say, yeah, they can keep a job for 10, 15 years. And so the cost model for the employer to not have to retrain these folks every, you don't have this revolving door. These people are your, they're with you, and they're your family. So I think that's it.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up. What advice would you give other advanced manufacturing firms considering locating in Montana?
Well, so the team, your team, and Frederic and the governor's team are fantastic. So any question you've got, you pose it, and you'll get a prompt answer, and it's very sentient.
Thank you. So our next question is for Gary Evans with U.S. Antimony. With your unique position in the only antimony smelter in the U.S., how has Montana's regulatory framework and proximity to critical minerals resources influenced your decision to operate in Thompson Falls?
Our company's been operating in Thompson Falls for almost 30 years, and most people don't even know we're there. We've got about 40 employees and getting ready to add another 25. We're doing a substantial expansion. We won a $245 million contract from the Department of War about 3 weeks ago to provide antimony ingots to the Defense Department, which will be used in all the military needs. Our stockpile, unfortunately, is below where it was in World War II because we've been funding Israel and we've been funding Ukraine. So Montana is in an incredible position to be able to have a plant, the only plant in the United States of America to provide antimony to our military as well as our industrial customers. So We had a groundbreaking ceremony where the governor was nice enough to attend a couple weeks ago. Even though we're halfway through our expansion, we're a little late, but it was so important having the direct conversations with him and other legislators about problems we were having. They asked, well, are you having any issues? I go, well, yeah, we got a couple. I don't want to name what they were, but one had to do with utility and one had to do with water. And immediately we saw response within 2 days. And so you don't get that in very many other places. And so it gives us the encouragement to continue to build infrastructure, continue to grow our footprint in the state of Montana. Then I'm very proud to announce that yesterday we brought the first load of Stignite antimony down from the mountain in Montana to be processed. So Montana, as of yesterday, is now producing antimony out of its own mine. We're the first integrated company in the world to do that. And so we're excited that we've been able to reopen a mine that's been closed for 20 some odd years. We got the permits within a month and a half. I filed permits in the state of Alaska in May and didn't get them till the end of September after I had to have a heated conversation with the commissioner of the state of Alaska. So this is a perfect example of the leadership within this state and what it's done to help companies like U.S. Antimony achieve its objectives.
Thank you very much. So this is for all panelists, whomever would like to answer this. How have Montana's infrastructure, regulatory environment, and community partnerships contributed to your company's success and resilience?
Sure, I'll start.
Thank you.
You know, it is one of the questions that investors ask us when they look at our projects is, do you have road access? You know, it's fairly small, lightly populated, I guess, in our area. We're up in the Shelby area, about 45 minutes. And the reality is our plant is going to be on an all-weather road. It's actually border crossing. It's maintained very, very well. And that's a tremendous benefit for us. If it weren't for that, it's a substantial amount of capital to build our own roads into that area. There's a great power grid up there that we'll be tapping into as well. And again, it's cost competitiveness for us.
I'll go. There's just 2 points I've got. One is working with the teams. I've been introduced, or our technology has been introduced to a lot more of the photonics products that you've got, or companies out here that are doing development for photonics-based technologies, and we have a big footprint in photonics, so it's been advantageous. The second thing I don't think most people maybe don't even know about or it's not talked about, it's called the Magnet Act. And the governor passed that, I don't know when, but the Magnet Act, if you don't know what that is very motivating for people to relocate to Montana, especially if you're the business owner.
Yeah, one of the issues we've had with respect to our location being Thompson Falls, it's 10,000 people in a 35-mile radius. Unfortunately, 75% of those are retired. So getting people to work inside a hot antimony smeltering operation is difficult. But we found out the real problem was housing. I can't get enough housing for our people, so I'm headed there tonight. I've got 2 locations of properties that we're going to try to acquire, build housing, put in trailer camps, whatever we have to do to bring people to the area. And the local community has been great, supportive. You've tried to help us, and so we think that community involvement is so essential. And most places don't have a problem with housing, and it's just an unusual situation. And the governor told me about problems they've had with prisons around the state where they've had to do the same thing, where the state's had to put up housing to attract personnel. So we're going down the same path, but we feel like it's something we can solve.
Thank you. My last question for all of you is, looking ahead 10 years, how do you envision your company's growth trajectory in Montana, and what role do you see the state's business climate playing in the future?
We're very, very positive on Montana. Helium is tremendously important. I mean, everybody thinks balloons, but it's semiconductors, it's MRIs, it's defense missiles and that sort of thing. It's space exploration. The only growth globally right now is from places like Qatar and Russia. And for us, for the U.S. to stay competitive, we need a good source of supply, a stable source of supply. We've mapped the state. We love it. We think there's an awful lot of opportunity here. We'll be in production next summer on this project, and then we're going to start expanding and building out our land base. And we see a very, very long future here for us.
Yeah, so like for us, I mean, we pulled tent stakes in the Bay Area, so we are now, everybody is Montana residents, so we're not going anywhere. The other good news is when we do our build out, there's not necessarily in Bozeman, but it's all of the surrounding areas. There's plenty of real estate to build a nice factory. So that's our long goal, and that's kind of sort of our roadmap.
Thank you.
The growth that we're going through right now in Thompson Falls, expansion that's underway, that we're done. We've used the entire amount of land available to us to grow. But it's taking our company up 5 times the amount of throughput that we've had historically. I did sign a letter of intent to make an acquisition of another property last night in Radersburg, and that's another part of Montana where we will have a midstream operation, which is a contact mill where you do crushing and things of antimony. So we're trying our best to keep as much operations in the state of Montana as we can. The one big advantage, obviously, the state has is access to utilities. We cannot build a refinery in the state of Alaska because, believe it or not, there's no natural gas in Anchorage or Fairbanks. And they keep talking about the pipelines coming down from the Arctic, but that's 4, 5, 6 years away. So we have to have natural gas to burn in furnaces. We have 17 furnaces burning in Thompson Falls as we speak, and we'll have 20 more in about 4 months. So you got to have access, cheap access to energy. I know a big part of this conference is to discuss energy. So whether it be electricity, whether it be natural gas, whether it be access to water, all are essential to many businesses. So making sure your state has those and has them in large enough quantities and has them cheap enough to induce industry is a huge factor.
Thank you. And so I got to ask my question, so I'd like to open it up to the audience questions, if you have any questions for these gentlemen.
Okay, right here. Good morning. Good morning. I actually, first of all, just want to say thank you to all the panelists for the amazing business. I'm fortunate to work under MARTA at the Department of Commerce, but you are what fuels our economy, and I am incredibly impressed with what you guys are doing. I'm super glad you've had such a great experience. But from the public sector side, the state side, is there anything that we can even do further to help? Is there anything we could even provide more support for as you guys are trying to move ahead?
That's a fair question. To be honest, nothing comes to mind right now. The one thing I love about interactions with the Montana government is most people's email says, they close with, I'm from the government, I'm here to help, just ask, but they mean it. And so I'm sure if we encounter problems or issues, I'm sure we can bring it forward and have it resolved quickly. But right now, I have no complaints, to be honest.
Same.
Yeah, there's no question that the people I've met over the last number of months have had open arms. I mean, what can I do to help you? And that's, you don't hear that very often. I'm from the great state of Texas, and we just don't hear legislators saying, what can I do to help you in what you're doing? And wow, it's great.
Thank you. We do have a great state. Any other questions?
Over here. Thanks for being here. Kind of a basic question for you. How would you compare Montana's business climate and regulatory structure to other states? And are there some things in other states that we should avoid and learn from?
Yes. So like I was saying, you know, just simple things that you would expect to be able to get done in a relatively short period of time. You don't need, you know, 10 different inspections and permits from different groups that are in this satellite government sphere, like where I came from here. It was seamless, right? So, you know, it's one call and okay, it's done. And I think that makes it a very, very, you know, I don't think it's just lip service. I think it's, you know, Montana is business friendly. And I think I have not seen anything that would, that was contrary to that today, man.
I mean, one thing that comes to mind, I won't name a specific state, but there's been some states that they've moved a long ways from their history of resource extraction, and they become very, very anti-development. I would encourage Montana to continue to have the communities understand the importance and the connection with the resource extraction. This is a resource-rich state. I think with a lot of the small towns, I think people get it, but as towns grow, there might become a disconnect between the work that's done and the benefits to the state and to the public, and I would hope that is always kept in the forefront of people's minds.
One thing I would be careful of is we witnessed this in our own operation that we're building in Thompson Falls, is that there were some regulations that came in from California concerning earthquakes. And our foundation that we built for this smelter that's under construction as we speak, we had to add $1.7 million of concrete and rebar because of earthquake concerns coming from regulators in California. I don't know how that got to Montana, but it did. And it's something we didn't know about, and our engineering firm, you know, said, hey, we're gonna have to go deeper and rebar this big in case there's an earthquake. And so just be careful that the other states that are your neighbors don't influence you too much in that regard.
Good morning. Fran Albrecht, I'm president and CEO of the Montana State University Alumni Foundation. So thank you for your investment in our university system. Question for you, what do you see as opportunities for our university system, our two-year institutions, as you think about opportunities in your industry and beyond?
Well, from my standpoint, I mean, that's sort of why we make donations to academia, is because we want the graduate, undergrads, or even grad students to become familiar with our processes, our technology, and what exactly we are, what exactly we do in the semi space. And it's not just the semi space we're involved in, we're also in the flat panel space. So, you know, we're in coulombic adhesion, if that's meaning anything to anybody, but we want the students to have familiarity, and then so when they go out into industry, they either can come to work with us, or they will go to work for another semi company, and they'll say, hey, you know, when I remember when I was in grad school that we solved this problem with this technology, and we've been doing it for many years with these partnerships, if you will, with the university. So I think you know, us being able to take some of the new guys that want to come and do what we're doing, but I think that in the end, it's also you're helping fill the pipeline of qualified engineers to go out into the semi space, at least for the semiconductor space. I don't know about for.
I mean, for my business, we're very much like oil and gas, so it's a lot of the same skill sets as geology, engineering, facilities, drilling, that sort of thing. You know, there's probably some work on our part to do to let the students know that there's adjacent industries where they can employ those same skills if they want to look at something other than oil and gas, for example. So it's probably more on my part than the schools, but we're always happy to speak and talk with folks.
Last week, I was asked to speak at Montana Tech University over in Butte, and when I had one of my meteorological chemists with me, and he said, Gary, you want to go see the lab? And so after my presentation, and I went out there, and I could not believe the amount of equipment and the size of this lab at the university. It was $7 million worth of equipment. And we're having to constantly send out antimony to various labs around the country to be assayed, which is like a test. And currently, we're receiving antimony shipments from Chad, Bolivia, Australia, Peru, Mexico, and all of those antimony shipments have to be, assayed or done a test on. So I got to thinking, what the heck? I'd rather give some money to school and let's use a down-home lab and it still be an independent review. So I actually have a conference call this afternoon with the president of the university where we said, well, we'll help train students to do this work and we'll pay for it. And it'll be a resource that can stay right here in the state of Montana rather than go to some other state or even go overseas for testing. So that's one of the things we're going to do. And I didn't even know it existed until I spoke there a couple weeks ago.
Thank you. Any other questions? One in the back?
Hi, my name is Lindsay Rickmeyer. I am a Broadwater County Commissioner. I am curious if you've met any resistance at the local levels in the counties you're coming into, and if so, and I guess initially, is there anything we can do at a local level to help make our areas more attractive to businesses like yours coming in and just make the process easier?
From my experience, it's been wide open arms from the local communities. We're fairly rural. We're up in Toole and Liberty counties, and those are lightly populated, and there's a tremendous appreciation from the counties of the jobs that we can bring forward. So again, no complaints. Sorry to sound like a broken record, but we've had great experiences all the way through.
I only have experience with Bozeman, and so I have not really traveled all of Montana yet, but so far it's been fantastic. So I don't have any issues.
Yeah, I think I pretty much said it's been open arms. It's a great work environment.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? Okay, well, with that, thank you very much for your time today. We truly appreciate your insight and your growing business here in Montana, and your success stories are very important to us. We look forward to watching your businesses flourish, creating jobs and opportunities across our communities, and please know that we're here to help. And I'm glad to hear all the positive information that you've provided us about our great state, and please let us know if there are any barriers. We're here to break them down. So thank you for your time, thank you for the questions, and I look forward to the rest of the day.
Thank you, Echelon Scientific and Avante Helium, for choosing Montana. And congratulations to U.S. Antimony Corporation for their expansion and for beginning production. That's really exciting for our state. And thank you all for being here again today. We are now going to take a half an hour break for all of your visiting. Oh, and please be back in your seats promptly at 10 so that we can keep on schedule. We're back on schedule now, and we hope to stay that way. So have a great networking break. Thank you.